Every empire has a beginning. Welcome to the International Billionaire Stories, where we uncover the remarkable journeys.
Long before Ford became one of the most famous names in history, it belonged to a simple farming family. Henry Ford was expected to spend his life farming, but while others saw fields, he saw machines.
Unlike most children, Henry wasn't interested in farming. He was obsessed with understanding how machines worked, and every broken watch became another lesson that
Word quickly spread across the community. Before long, neighbors trusted the young boy to repair their valuable watches, revealing a remarkable talent far beyond his years. Everything changed the moment Henry saw a steam engine for the first time. From that day forward, machines became more than a hobby. They became his life's purpose.
Years of curiosity turned into action. As a teenager, Henry successfully built his own working steam engine, proving that his passion was becoming real skill.
The heartbreaking loss of his mother changed Henry forever. The farm no longer felt like home, and his desire to leave grew stronger with every passing day.
At just 16 years old, Henry made the hardest decision of his life. He left everything behind, believing that his future could never be found on a farm. Detroit was rapidly becoming America's industrial heart. For a young man obsessed with machines, it was the perfect place to begin again. Henry's first jobs were difficult and poorly paid, but every workshop became a classroom where he absorbed knowledge that no school could ever teach. To survive, Henry worked 2 jobs. During the day, he learned about machines. At night, he repaired watches, sacrificing sleep to keep chasing his dream. Success never came easily. Every spare moment was spent studying, experimenting, and preparing for opportunities that had not yet arrived.
Although Henry returned home, his passion had not changed. While others worked the fields, he devoted every spare moment.
Henry's remarkable talent soon caught the attention of the Westinghouse Company, giving him the opportunity to work with advanced steam engines across Michigan.
During this important chapter of his life, Henry met Clara Bryant, the woman who would support his biggest dreams through every success.
After their marriage, Henry returned to Detroit with one clear goal: to build a future through engineering instead of farming.
A single article about the new gasoline engine completely changed Henry's thinking. He realized this invention could become the future of transportation. Yes.
To learn more about electricity and engines, Henry joined the Edison Illuminating Company, where every night became another lesson in engineering. Years of study finally paid off. Henry successfully built his first working gasoline engine, bringing him one step closer to his impossible dream.
Now Henry faced his greatest challenge yet: building a machine that could move without horses.
In 1896, Henry achieved what many believed was impossible. His first automobile finally moved under its own power. The machine was far from perfect, but it proved one powerful idea: transportation would never be the same again. Henry believed his invention could change transportation forever, but turning an idea into a successful business would prove far more difficult than building the machine itself.
With financial backing secured, the founder launched his first automobile company. It was a bold beginning, but success remained frustratingly out of reach. Production delays, expensive manufacturing, and disagreements with investors quickly pushed the company toward failure.
Henry's first business collapsed, leaving him disappointed but not defeated. Every setback only strengthened his determination to try again. Instead of giving up, Henry shifted his focus toward racing. He knew that winning on the track would earn the public's trust.
The race attracted enormous attention. For Henry, this wasn't just about speed. It was about proving his engineering skills to the entire nation. Victory transformed Founder overnight. Investors suddenly believed in the man who had once struggled to convince anyone of his vision.
With renewed confidence and stronger financial support, Henry prepared to build a company that would finally survive.
This is an honor, Henry.
In 1903, the Ford Motor Company officially opened its doors. This time, Founder had a much bigger vision than simply building automobiles.
Henry refused to settle for ordinary. Every new design brought him closer to creating an affordable automobile for everyday families.
Henry believed every failure contained a lesson. Instead of rushing production, he refined each design until it met his vision of reliability and simplicity.
The first Ford Model A marked an important milestone. It proved that Henry's third attempt was finally moving in the right direction.
But Henry knew building better cars wasn't enough. The real challenge was learning how to build them faster and more efficiently.
During a visit to Chicago, Henry discovered an idea that would completely transform manufacturing forever.
Inspired by what he had seen, CEO imagined bringing the work to the workers instead of making workers move around the product. The new production system dramatically increased efficiency, allowing Ford to build cars faster than anyone had ever imagined.
Production surged to unprecedented levels. Ford was no longer building dozens of cars, he was building thousands. Henry constantly searched for stronger and lighter materials, believing every improvement could make automobiles better and more affordable.
Then came the automobile that would change history forever, the legendary Ford Model T. For the first time, ordinary families could realistically dream of owning an automobile. Transportation was no longer a luxury reserved for the wealthy. Demand for the Model T exploded so rapidly that Henry needed an even larger factory to keep up with America's growing appetite for automobiles. Henry perfected the moving assembly line, allowing every worker to master a single task while the car moved steadily from one station to the next. What once required more than 12 hours could now be completed in just 90 minutes, changing manufacturing forever.
Ford's production reached levels that competitors couldn't even imagine. The company was now building automobiles at an unprecedented scale. Instead of increasing profits by raising prices, we did the opposite. Every improvement in production made the Model T even more affordable.
Owning a car was no longer a dream reserved for the wealthy. Millions of ordinary families suddenly had access to personal transportation.
But rapid production came with a hidden cost. Many workers struggled with the repetitive nature of assembly line work, and employee turnover became a serious problem.
In one of the boldest business decisions of his era, Henry doubled workers' daily wages, shocking the entire industrial world.
People traveled from across the country hoping to work for Ford. His decision transformed not only his company, but the future of industrial labor itself. With better wages, happier workers, and non-stop production, Ford had built the most efficient automobile company the world had ever seen. By 1919, founder of company made one of the boldest decisions of his career. He bought out nearly every investor. Although Edsel became company president, founder continued making nearly every important decision, keeping complete control over the future of Ford Motor Company. For years, the Model T dominated American roads. It became more than a car. It became a symbol of affordable freedom for millions of families.
But while Ford focused on the same successful formula, competitors like Chevrolet were quietly changing what customers wanted. Even as sales began slowing, Henry refused to replace the Model T. He believed the world's favorite car still had many years left. Customer preferences had changed. Buyers wanted comfort, style, and innovation, while Ford continued relying on yesterday's success.
Eventually, reality became impossible to ignore. After nearly 2 decades of success, production of the legendary Model T finally came to an end. Ford immediately began developing a completely new generation of automobiles, hoping to regain the company's position at the top of the industry. The new Model A arrived with fresh styling, improved engineering, and renewed public excitement, marking a completely new chapter for Ford Motor Company. Henry's vision extended far beyond automobiles. He built one of the world's largest integrated factories, controlling nearly every step of production. Then came the Great Depression. As the economy collapsed, even the world's largest automobile companies struggled. Ford was forced to reduce production and lay off thousands of employees, marking one of the most difficult periods in the company's history. Determined to stay competitive, Ford introduced the revolutionary V8 engine, bringing more power and performance to everyday drivers. Despite new innovations, competition became stronger than ever. Ford gradually lost its position as America's leading automobile manufacturer. Throughout these challenging years, Edsel remained one of Founder's greatest supporters, helping guide the company into a changing world. In 1943, CEO suffered the greatest personal tragedy of his life when his beloved son Edsel passed away after a long illness.
Although age had slowed him down, Founder remained deeply connected to the company he had built from nothing.
Recognizing that a new generation was needed, CEO passed leadership of Ford Motor Company to his grandson, ensuring the company's future would continue.
On April 7, 1947, Henry Ford passed away, leaving behind one of the most extraordinary industrial legacies in human history. From a small Michigan farm to one of the world's most iconic automobile companies, Henry Ford proved that a single dream can. Decades after Henry Ford's passing, his vision continued moving millions of people every single day across America and around the world. Technology evolved, factories transformed, But Ford's original mission of building reliable automobiles for ordinary people remained unchanged. From one curious farm boy to one of history's greatest industrial pioneers, CEO's legacy continued. What began as one man's dream in rural Michigan eventually reached nearly every corner of the world, connecting people through affordable transportation.
Today, Henry Ford's earliest inventions are preserved as symbols of innovation, reminding future generations how
Henry Ford's greatest invention was not simply the automobile. It was the belief that innovation should improve everyday life for ordinary people.
His story reminds us that success rarely comes from talent alone. It comes from persistence, courage, and the willingness to begin again after every failure. From a farmer's son to one of history's greatest industrial visionaries, Henry Ford proved that one determined individual could. As decades passed, Ford continued evolving with the changing world, introducing new technologies while preserving the vision that Today, Ford is investing heavily in electric vehicles and future mobility, proving that innovation never truly stops. Millions of visitors continue learning from Henry Ford's achievements, discovering how one person's determination reshaped modern transportation forever.
Every extraordinary journey begins somewhere. Henry Ford's began on a quiet farm, but its impact reached the entire world. History remembers Henry Ford not only because he built automobiles, but because he made progress accessible to ordinary people.
Henry Ford's greatest legacy extends far beyond automobiles. His ideas continue inspiring future engineers, inventors, and entrepreneurs around the world.
For more than a century, Ford vehicles have supported countless industries and communities, becoming an essential part of everyday life for millions of people.
Even today, classic Ford automobiles remain treasured pieces of history, carefully restored by people who admire the company that transformed transportation forever. From one small farmhouse in Michigan to a global automotive empire, Henry Ford's vision continues shaping the future of mobility.
Every great innovation begins with a single dream. Henry Ford proved that one determined person can inspire.
What started as one man's dream in Michigan eventually became a global symbol of mobility, reaching millions of people across every continent.
Although technology has evolved beyond anything Henry Ford could have imagined, his philosophy of continuous innovation still drives the automotive industry today. Around the world, Henry Ford's business strategies and manufacturing methods continue to be taught as some of the greatest industrial innovations in modern history. Henry Ford's greatest lesson wasn't simply how to build automobiles. It was how determination, vision, and persistence can transform impossible ideas into reality.
More than a century later, Henry Ford remains one of history's most influential inventors, entrepreneurs, and industrial visionaries. Every remarkable legacy begins with humble beginnings. Henry Ford's journey reminds us that extraordinary achievements often grow from ordinary places.
Generations continue finding inspiration in Henry Ford's story, proving that great ideas never truly grow old.
Every road traveled today carries a small piece of Henry Ford's vision, a future where transportation belongs to everyone.
His name became more than a company. It became a symbol of innovation, resilience, and the courage to dream beyond limitations.
From a curious farm boy to a man whose ideas reshaped the modern world, Henry Ford's extraordinary journey reminded.
Henry Ford's greatest achievement wasn't simply building cars. It was creating a manufacturing system so efficient that
Before long, Henry Ford's production techniques spread far beyond the automobile industry, transforming manufacturing across countless businesses worldwide.
The assembly line became one of the most influential industrial innovations in history, making production faster, more affordable, and more reliable than ever before. Business leaders across the world carefully studied Ford's success, hoping to understand the system that had completely changed modern manufacturing.
Companies from around the globe visited Ford's factories, learning techniques that would influence industrial production for generations. Affordable transportation reshaped daily life, allowing families to travel farther, businesses to grow faster, and communities to become more connected than ever before.
Henry Ford didn't just manufacture automobiles. He accelerated economic growth by making transportation practical for ordinary people and small businesses.
Even today, historians continue studying Henry Ford's innovations, recognizing their lasting impact on modern industry and global business.
Every chapter of Founder's journey demonstrates the power of persistence, innovation, and the courage to challenge conventional thinking.
More than a century later, Henry Ford's vision continues moving millions of people forward, proving that truly
Innovation never stands still. The culture Henry Ford created continues inspiring engineers to imagine the next generation of transportation. Although technology has changed dramatically, Ford's commitment to improving performance and efficiency remains stronger than ever. Henry Ford believed that quality should never be sacrificed for speed. That philosophy still guides the company's manufacturing standards today. Every completed vehicle represents the continuation of a vision that began more than a century ago on a quiet Michigan farm. Business schools continue analyzing Henry Ford's leadership, manufacturing methods, and revolutionary approach to mass production. Generation after generation, Ford continued adapting to changing technology while preserving the innovative spirit that built the company. Millions of journeys, family memories, and life-changing adventures have taken place behind the wheel of vehicles carrying Henry Ford's name. Few companies have influenced modern transportation as deeply as Ford, leaving an impact that continues shaping industries across the world.
The distance between that small farmhouse and today's global automotive empire is measured not by miles, but by.
Henry Ford's story is more than the history of one company. It is the story of how one determined dreamer, more than a century after Henry Ford built his first automobile, millions of people still begin every journey with the vision he first imagined. The future of mobility continues evolving, but the spirit of innovation that Henry Ford introduced remains at the heart of every new breakthrough.
Around the world, future engineers continue studying the principles that helped Henry Ford transform one simple idea into a global revolution.
Reliable transportation powers modern economies, succors businesses, and connects families, an impact that traces directly back to Henry Ford's revolutionary vision. Every blueprint, sketch, and handwritten note tells the story of a man who believed every challenge could be solved through persistence and innovation. These historic machines remind us that history isn't built overnight. It is created through years of determination.
Henry Ford's story continues inspiring young minds to dream bigger, think differently, and believe that impossible ideas can become reality.
From humble beginnings to global influence, Henry Ford's extraordinary journey proves that true innovation begins with curiosity and courage. The Model T became more than an automobile. It became a symbol of freedom, opportunity, and one man's determination to make the impossible possible. Henry Ford didn't simply build automobiles. He changed the way humanity moves, works, and dreams.
One simple dream that began on a quiet farm eventually connected millions of lives through affordable transportation and limitless opportunity.
Innovation is never a destination. It is a continuous journey, and Ford continues improving every generation of vehicles through engineering excellence. More than 100 years later, classic Ford automobiles remain powerful reminders of one of history's greatest industrial revolutions.
Henry Ford proved that true innovation belongs to those who refuse to accept the limits of their time.
The manufacturing principles Henry Ford introduced continue supporting industries that power the modern global economy.
Cross and run a 3 for chunks. For generations of engineers, the Model T remains one of the greatest examples of practical innovation and efficient design.
Transportation is more than movement. It creates memories, strengthens families, and opens doors to new opportunities, exactly as Henry Ford once imagined. Although technology continues evolving, Henry Ford's influence remains deeply woven into the story of modern transportation.
Every sunrise marks another chapter in a legacy that has continued for generations, inspiring progress through innovation and determination.
Henry Ford's remarkable journey reminds us that history is shaped by those courageous enough to dream beyond the ordinary and determined enough to make those dreams become reality.
The world continues moving forward, but every new innovation still reflects the same spirit of curiosity that first inspired Henry Ford more than a century ago.
Every day, thousands of Ford vehicles begin new journeys, continuing a legacy that started with one handmade automobile in a small Detroit workshop.
Every generation discovers new challenges, but the courage to solve impossible problems remains the true engine of progress.
Each generation of Ford vehicles tells another chapter in one of the greatest industrial success stories ever written.
Millions of journeys begin every day, quietly carrying forward the dream that Henry Ford first imagined for ordinary families.
History remembers great achievements, but it also remembers the relentless determination behind every remarkable success.
From horse-drawn roads to intelligent vehicles, the evolution of transportation reflects the extraordinary impact of one visionary entrepreneur. No matter where the road leads, Henry Ford's vision continues connecting people,
places, and possibilities across the world.
Some of history's greatest revolutions begin quietly, with one determined person refusing to accept the limits of the present.
Henry Ford's journey reminds us that true innovation begins with curiosity, grows through persistence, and leaves a legacy that...
More than a century has passed, yet Ford continues proving that true innovation never stops evolving.
Today's engineers continue building on Henry Ford's foundation, combining innovation with safety, efficiency, and reliability for future generations. Ford vehicles became trusted partners for workers, families, and businesses, supporting everyday life in countless ways.
Behind every remarkable achievement stood years of planning, experimentation, and an unwavering belief that every problem had a solution.
Business leaders and students continue studying Henry Ford's ideas because they forever changed the relationship between manufacturing, affordability, and economic growth. Technology has transformed factories beyond recognition, yet the principle of continuous improvement remains exactly as Henry Ford imagined.
Every unforgettable journey begins with a simple decision to move forward, a philosophy that has defined Ford since its very beginning. The city where Henry Ford chased his dream became the birthplace of one of the world's greatest industrial revolutions.
From humble beginnings to global influence, every chapter of Founder's life helped shape the modern world in ways few people could have imagined.
Henry Ford's story reminds us that history is not changed by those who follow the road, but by those courageous enough to build an entirely...
Every great revolution begins with a single prototype. For Henry Ford, that journey started a simple machine.
Each generation of Ford vehicles tells the story of constant innovation, adapting to the changing needs of every new era. More than 100 years later, Ford continues exploring new technologies while carrying forward the innovative spirit that Henry Ford established. Modern manufacturing has become faster and smarter, yet its foundation still reflects Henry Ford's revolutionary vision of efficiency.
Generation after generation, Ford vehicles have become trusted companions for families, creating unforgettable memories on the open road. The founder's greatest lesson wasn't simply about building automobiles. It was about believing that impossible ideas can become everyday reality.
Time has transformed cities, industries, and technology, but Henry Ford's influence continues shaping the world around us.
Millions of journeys begin every single day because one determined young man believed transportation should belong to everyone. From a curious farm boy to one of history's greatest industrial pioneers, Founder's journey remains one of humanity's most inspiring success stories. Technology continues evolving, but the pursuit of efficiency and quality remains one of Henry Ford's greatest lasting contributions.
Across generations and across continents, Ford vehicles have become part of millions of unforgettable journeys. History remembers not only Henry Ford's inventions, but also the determination that turned simple ideas into world-changing achievements.
Detroit became the birthplace of an industrial revolution that transformed transportation and reshaped the modern world forever.
Henry Ford's journey reminds every entrepreneur that persistence, curiosity, and courage often matter more than perfect circumstances.
The tools may have changed, but the mission remains the same: building better vehicles for people everywhere.
Every road tells a story, and countless roads around the world continue carrying Henry Ford's remarkable legacy forward.
From humble beginnings to global influence, Henry Ford's extraordinary life continues proving that
Henry Ford's legacy lives on wherever innovation, determination, and bold ideas continue moving humanity toward a brighter future. The automobile continues evolving, but every new breakthrough still carries the pioneering spirit that Henry Ford introduced to the world.
Every completed vehicle continues a tradition of innovation that began with one determined inventor and a simple dream.
Henry Ford's journey continues inspiring future generations to challenge limits and create solutions that improve everyday life. From timeless classics to cutting-edge technology, Ford's evolution reflects more than a century of continuous progress.
Every road traveled today stands as a reminder of Henry Ford's dream to make transportation available for ordinary people everywhere.
Behind every successful invention lies years of learning, countless failures, and an unwavering commitment to improvement. The assembly line forever changed industrial production, becoming one of history's most influential manufacturing innovations.
Transportation is more than machinery. It connects people, creates opportunities, and brings families closer together across generations.
Few individuals have transformed everyday life as profoundly as Founder, leaving behind a legacy that continues inspiring innovation across the world.
Henry Ford proved that extraordinary achievements often begin with ordinary dreams. His vision continues driving progress.
Every new day at Ford represents another chapter in a legacy built on innovation, discipline, and relentless determination.
Henry Ford believed that progress never stands still, and today's engineers continue pushing transportation toward an even more advanced future.
Every generation of Ford vehicles reflects the changing needs of society while honoring the innovative mindset that started it all.
Millions of people continue trusting Ford every day, carrying forward a tradition that began with one man's extraordinary dream.
Henry Ford's influence extends far beyond automobiles, becoming one of the greatest case studies in business innovation and industrial leadership. Modern factories continue proving that Henry Ford's revolutionary ideas remain deeply embedded in manufacturing across the world.
This simple automobile forever changed history by making personal transportation available to millions of ordinary families.
Henry Ford's vision reached far beyond machines. It empowered people, strengthened communities, and expanded opportunities across the world.
The roads we travel today are part of a journey that Henry Ford helped begin more than 100 years ago.
Henry Ford's story will forever remind the world that bold dreams, relentless persistence, and fearless innovation have the power to transform.
From a small farm in Michigan to one of the world's greatest industrial empires, Founder proved that determination is.
Henry Ford's journey reminds us that every extraordinary achievement begins with a simple dream, a curious mind.
Thank you for watching the International Billionaire Stories. If you enjoyed this documentary, subscribe for more inspiring stories.